is Jasmine Pink Queen here, and welcome back to my channel. And I hope that you enjoy this new series I'm doing. It's called Bosses from Hell. This is part two. This is the story of Lace. And while I'm telling the story, I'm going to be putting on my makeup. And I hope you guys enjoy it. But if you haven't already, please like the video, subscribe, and comment and share it. And I hope that you guys enjoy today's topic that I'm going to be discussing. So just a quick recap in the first part before I get started. I talked about how, I started working at this job and how, I had to take the classes for it and how when I started, it was no supervisor there. And I also talked about how, the story of how Lace became my supervisor. And she was, at first, it was like a temporary position for her, but then it ended up being a permanent position. So as I was editing it and I uploaded it, I realized that it was a few little like minor like things that I forgot to mention. And of course, like, I said I was gonna do a part two anyway. So I was like, let me just kind of backtrack a little bit. So we're gonna get started with that. So I'm gonna go back to when we was at the old building. And so like during this time, I just want to set the scene for you guys. So, like I said, in the first part, race doesn't play a part in it, but it kind of does because I just kind of just want to give you guys like an idea of who I encountered, and I also want to give you guys like just show you guys like the dynamic that was kind of going on within that this setting or whatever like that. So before, like when we was in the old building, okay, so this is when at first like Lace became like they were saying, oh, she's gonna be the temporary supervisor for her position or whatever like that, whoop de whoop. So it was another black girl like there, and I'm just trying to find me a brush to use so I can put my foundation on. So it was a black girl that was there. We're gonna call her. Let me see. We're just gonna call her. Let me think. She really don't play a big part in this, but she kind of do. Um, we gonna call her. We're gonna call her Crest. Crest. I'm looking at this Crest toothpaste right here. We're gonna call her Crest. So Crest was like she only been there like roughly around like excuse me. Crest been there. I want to say probably like 7-8 months. So she started like because I like I said I started like in. I'm sorry. Let me back up. So, like I said, I started like this is like January 2021 when I started, right? Crest had been there since, so when the supervisor started, like being our permanent supervisor, this was roughly around about, let's say September, no, October, excuse me, this was about October. So Crest had been there probably since about March, February. So about, let's see, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So she's been about 8 months. Chris been there about 8 months. And so they got me to because during this time, like I think I had just got out of training, but I wasn't like officially like doing like casework like that. I mean, like I was doing cases, like they'll probably give me like I think I said this in the other part, like they was giving me like 2 or 3 cases a day, and it was like I was catching hell with those cases because all those cases had some type of problem on them, and it was hard, and it's like I had to keep calling somebody like to help me, and you call too much, folks was getting an attitude or whatever. So one time they did give me this like sit with Crest, and I had to sit with her as far as like job shadowing and stuff like that. And I don't know, because at the time, like, other than the supervisor, like I said, who was black, it was just me and Lace. I mean, not, excuse me, it was just me and Chris that was like the only two black girls like actually like doing like the casework, and the other girls was white. But I don't know. It's like Chris was not like the most friendly of people. Cause like even like when I sat with her one time, like, I'm already like nervous, trying to find my footing. She did not make me feel welcome. She was just kind of like when I came in her room, she was like had like this really condescending attitude, like, you gonna sit down or what? Like, what you gonna do? Like, and I'm just like, girl, like, you ain't gotta talk to me like that. Like, that's what I'm saying to myself. And one thing I do regret about being at those jobs, like, I kind of regret, like, not saying like I was a pushover, and I'm not no pushover, but for the sake of my job, like, I just kind of feel like I should have spoke up a lot more than what I did, and I didn't speak up a lot, and I should have spoke up. And that's probably like my biggest regret, is not speaking up as much as I should have, because folks was really trying me. And Chris, I don't know why she was giving me all this fever and stuff like that. And but I think I got an idea as to why, and I'm gonna tell you guys why I feel that way. Because at first she was okay, but then over time I noticed how she would kind of like make these little smart ass comments, be real sarcastic with me, like during meetings. And it was another time, like, we had like a little birthday party, because like we always threw like little birthday parties, like for whoever, like, because we was on a team. So if we had a member on our team that it was somebody's birthday, we would throw them like a little birthday party, or bring like a little, like, a dish, or have like a little gathering for them, and just kind of take your mind off work and stuff too at the same time, and also celebrate that person's birthday while we're there. We would do that. So we were celebrating this one girl's birthday, and so we was in her office, and because, like I said, this is during the time before we moved, so we still had our offices. So we was in her office, we were celebrating her birthday and whatnot. And I forgot what we was talking about. We was saying something. We was talking about like our favorite like drinks and stuff like that, like our favorite sodas and things like that to drink. And I was like, yeah, because they was talking about these particular like type of ginger ale that was out. Because I think like ginger ale had like these different like type, like the cranberry kind and stuff like that. And I was like, oh wow, like I never tried that. They did, right? I said, but it sounds good. I said, I would like to try it. I said, it actually sounds like really, really good. So, Crest, because Crest was really good friends with the one we was having a birthday for. We're going to call her, we just going to call her the one that we had the birthday for. Because Crest and her were really good friends. It was a white girl. And we're going to call her, God, I need to start coming up with names. We're going to call her Elf, because I'm looking at my Elf product right here. We're going to call her Elf. So, yeah, her and Elf was really good friends. Crest and Elf. Like, they were tight. It was tighter than the Clam's ass, like, out of everybody in the group. So I was like, everybody was talking. Everybody was on our team, because at the time it was me, Crest, Elf, was Supervisor Lace, and it was so it was like 8 of us. No, 5, 6, 7. It was 7 of us. I'm sorry, y'all, I can't count. It was seven of us. So by this time the supervisor had stepped out, and we was like, the party was kind of wrapping up a little bit, because people had their cases and stuff to do, but people still kind of lingering around a little bit. So yeah, it was this whole conversation about the whole sodas, and I was like, I said, I never tried that. I said, but that sounds good, because it was talking about the ginger ale with the cranberry juice in it. I was like, I never tried that. I said, but that sounds really, really good. So here come Chris. Like I said, she always kind of made some little comment to me. She was like, Jasmine, who asked you? No one was talking to you. No one asked you. And I just looked at her like, bitch, like, You know, like what the fuck? Like I'm like you did no one else like that. None of the other white girls like that. And like I said, me and her was kind of like the only like black girls at the time, basically beyond the supervisor. But it's like, girl, like why you felt like you had to come for me like that? Like, and just a little side note, like I just kind of noticed that at a lot of these like office jobs, like I've kind of worked at, like I ain't gonna say every single like black person, but I mean I'm just being real right now, like, and I'm blackity black, like girl, I'm black, okay, like I'm like, and I'm proud of my race, and I'm proud of like myself, but I just noticed that in a lot of these workplaces, like a lot of black, particularly black women, like they will switch up on their own so quick, like, and they will be real tight with Becky, Karen, and throw your ass up under the bus. I've seen it happen way too many times. I don't know why I'm looking at my ring light for to do this, but whatever. But yeah, I'm like, I just noticed that like they really would they would switch up on your ass, and they would be buddy buddy with Becky and Brittany, but then they see somebody like you come along and they just no, they ain't fucking with you like that, and they will quickly throw you up under the bus in a heartbeat. Like I just noticed that while working there. But yeah, when she said that, it just really took me for a loop. I'm like, why would she do that? You know, but she ended up not staying long because I think that was like when she did that. I think that was like her last week working with us, and after that, she was getting ready to leave because she had found another job. But I'm gonna tell y'all why I think she kind of gave me like a hard time, and why she was always like so like a little bit more nastier to me than the other girls in the group. Because okay, like I said, I don't care who you date. I really don't. Happy Pride Month, y'all. Okay, and recently I have come to terms with myself being bisexual. So I don't care who you date. It is what it is. But I just so happen to like, I was on Facebook one day, and the girl, Chris, her Facebook page that came up. So, I ain't gonna lie, I was being a little nosy, so I just happened to look it up. I was like, just seeing, her Facebook page. And I noticed that she was dating this girl that used to go to school with me. And the girl that went to school with me, she didn't like me. Like, me and her got into this really big argument. Like, I used to be in the band, and the girl was in the band with me too, that she's dating. Chris was dating. And I think she was like a year younger than me, the girl was. But I don't know, the girl didn't like me. And me and her ended up into like this big argument. I would not be surprised if, because I seen her come to the job a few times to like drop something off for Chris, and I even saw her kind of like look at me like, oh, like she's here, like, I'm like, yeah, like, but it probably has, talked about it like, oh, like I know her, but I know it's kind of like ever since then she been acting, making these little comments to me. That's just my opinion, and I could be wrong. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there, like, and so still at the old building. It was, by this time I was still like working on cases and whatnot, and I mean, like I said, they got me working on cases, but it's not like a full caseload, like probably like 2 or 3 cases a day. So then, I guess I was, I'm gonna be real, like I probably was calling Lace too much, the supervisor, because it just got to the point where she was like, she had called me one day when I had sent her some cases like I needed help with. Cause I'm gonna be real with y'all, a lot of those cases was like fucked up, like, and it wasn't from me, it was like from like previous people like touching them and before me, and it was just a lot going on. So yeah, and like I said, and really the information really wasn't like hard. It was just a lot of information to like learn at like one time or whatever like that. And so I sent some cases to Lace I needed help with because it was just a lot to deal with. And she called me and she was like, okay, what we're gonna call this girl? We're gonna call her Stacy. She was like, I want you to sit with Stacy. And she was like, from here on out, like if you have questions, I want you to take them to Stacy because Stacy knows what she's doing. Stacy's confident, and I feel like she's gonna help you. She's gonna help you out with what you need in regards to like your casework and all of this stuff. So I was like, okay, cool. Like she wanted me to talk to Stacy about my cases. I was like, I can do that. But the thing was this: Stacy started about February. So Stacy started around about February and March. This was in 2021. So like I said, we in like October 2021 during this time period. And so I was like, okay, cool. So she ain't been there that long either. She started roughly around the same time as Chris did and Elf, because they all kind of started around at the same time, I see. So she was like, go to her because she said Stacy knows what she's doing and she is so confident in her work and you're gonna learn a lot from her. And so if you have any questions about cases, go to Stacy. Go to Stacy. They really put Stacy on this pedestal. One thing I learned as soon as I started like going to Stacy was one of them type of people where like she was like, yo, I don't know other way to put this. It's like she knew. Let me put it this way. You knew she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. She knew she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. But Stacy was so confident in her bullshit that it made you not even want to question it. And I'm gonna say why, because Stacy didn't stay there long. She ended up leaving when we ended up going to the new building, and I think she probably stayed there probably a year and 2 months, a year and some change. But when we went to the new building and Lace became the new supervisor, the permanent supervisor, I should say, she ended up leaving. And when it wasn't like a whole bunch of people, like when it was people, let me put it this way, when it was people that had to go behind her and look at her casework because they was working on her cases, she had so many errors on her cases. Like she was fucking up so many cases, and people was just like, it just got to the point that even one time, I mean, now I'm kind of getting off track, but I'm just kind of giving y'all like an idea of like she really gonna put this lady on a pedestal, and she didn't know what the fuck she was doing. Lace really putting this girl on a pedestal, saying you need to go to her. She confident. Whole time, bitch, fucking up cases. And it got to the point, like even like one time, like when we got to the new building, and everybody at that point had left, and it won't nobody but me and Nyx like working cases, and we was doing not only our caseloads, we was doing caseloads of everybody else who was fucking gone. And I remember one time I went in Lace's office to get something for a client, and she was looking through Stacy's caseload because somebody had her caseload before she like they had just started, I think, during that time. And I remember like when I looked at Lace, she was looking at Stacy's caseload, and she just shook her head. She was like, I don't know what Stacy was doing with these cases. It was that bad. Like it was that freaking bad. Now I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I said, I am not gonna sit up here and bullshit you. And I know I'm kind of getting off topic, and I'm gonna get back on track. Just give me a second. I'm just trying to make a point. Like she really was hyping up. She was hyping up Stacy. Like Stacy was just this perfect like caseworker and all this other bullshit. Now I might have been not been the most fast at doing casework because like me and Nix was saying, hey, we believed in quality over quantity. That was our motto. And I think that's why me and Nix just work so good together. That was my homegirl, and she still is to this day. Like, we just believed in quality over quantity. Like, that was our motto. And everybody else was just like, oh, yeah, they getting out cases. They doing cases fast. But you go back and look, they fucking up everything they was doing. And that really wasn't what me and Nix was doing. Like, we was doing what the hell we was supposed to do. And it was like, oh, why it take y'all so long to do this and that? Y'all need to be doing this many cases a day. And it's like, girl, are they right though? They are. Okay, well, shut up. Now that's what we wanted to say. We didn't say that, but that's just what it was given. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. I just wanted to throw that out there. So anyway, she was like, yeah. So back when we was at the old building, she was like, yeah, I want you to go to Stacy. I was like, all right, cool. So I started going to Stacy with my cases, and I remember it was this one case. It was a few cases, but I'll never forget this one case that I had a problem with. Now it was a guy, and it was a husband and wife, and it was 2 children on the case, and the parents were not receiving, but they were not receiving benefits, but the 2 children were receiving benefits. They were receiving, and so at the time I didn't know, like, because we had to send out forms requesting information from them. So I looked at the case and I was like, why the parents like social is not on here? So I did the form requesting the social for the parents and one of the children, because the child social was the other one. Child social was on there, but the other child social was not, and they were receiving benefits. So I remember some kind of way Lace found out about the case, and she was like, oh, well, seeing that the parents are not receiving, you don't have to request the social for the parents. I was like, oh, okay. Like, she was like, yeah. And then she showed, like, and so, of course I wrote it down. So I got to keep asking nobody again. I was like, okay. Like, and she was like, yeah. She was like, but just request the social for the child. I was like, all right, cool. So, Stacy was looking at the case, and she was like, why you don't have the parents, this is a little like a couple hours later, and she was like, why are you not requesting this social from the parents? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, like, I know I probably should have spoke up and should have been like, well, the supervisor told me not to do that, and I don't know what I was thinking. And then I was kind of like, well, maybe the supervisor misunderstood or whatever like that. She was like, no, you need to get the social from the parents as well. So I had to redo the form again. And so I redid it, requesting the social for both the parents and that one child that was missing. And some kind of way, supervisor, she saw it and she was like, I told you, like, you're not supposed to request the social for, the 2 parents, just the child. And I was like, and I'm like, guys, and I'm low key still, I know it's some years later, and I'm still kicking myself in the ass about that. Like, I know I should have probably spoke up and said something and been like, well, Stacy told me to do it like this, and I don't know. I guess I just didn't want to get nobody in trouble, and I know probably I should have did my due diligence and did my research, or been like, well, supervisor told me to do it this way or whatever like that. Whoop. I don't know, but I can just tell, like, even after that, she just kind of looked at me like she was getting frustrated with me. And, in that point, I just kind of feel like that was understandable. But, at the same time, I just, like I said, you know, Stacy up here saying one thing, and you got the supervisor saying another thing, and here I am, and I'm not making no excuse for it, but here I am. I'm this new person that's being trained on how to do this stuff, and people barely showing me what to do, what to say, and so I was just kind of like, you know, but yeah, that happened, and so I just wanted to throw this story out there. So now fast forward to the new building. Now we're at the new building, and I forgot to say this story earlier, but I'm gonna go ahead and put that out there. So this is roughly around about, because we moved to the new building in January of 2022. So this is roughly around about, I want to say March 2022 when this happened. So I think my girl Nyx, I think she had just started training, because she started in January 2022. And I forgot to put my little thing on right there, too. Let me put that on. So she started in January 2022. Okay. So I think she had just started, because like I said, this was in March 2022. I think she had just gotten into training. I'm not sure yet. But y'all, it's been so many years since this happened, obviously. So it's been a while. But anyway, so I remember I got home from work one day, and my mom was like telling me that my child was being harassed, bullied by this boy on the bus. And basically the boy that was like harassing him was like trying to like touch on my child and asking to see his boxers, and Elijah, he felt very uncomfortable. It just got to the point where we had to request like for my child to like have a special seating on the bus and stay far away from this child as possible. Obviously, being a parent, I'm very upset about this incident, and I'm gonna be real with you. Like, I want to kick his ass. Like, being a parent, I want to kick this little child's ass. And so I was like, you know what? I said I'm gonna have to go over to the school, obviously, and get this straight. So I remember that night after I found out, I called Lace and I told her, I said, look, I said, I'm going to come in late for work tomorrow. And I even told her what was going on. I told her that some child is harassing my son on the bus. And, I said, I'm going to go over to the school and find out what's going on, and get the situation like squared away, basically. And I know during this time, like Lace was like real, like kind of mouthy, and she started like showing like her true colors for the most part. But she was like, yeah, I don't blame you. Like, do what you need to do, basically. And I don't know, when she said that, it just really kind of made me, have respect for her. I was like, okay, like she understands where I'm coming from, like, you know. So yeah, that's what I did. So I remember I went up to school, and I was trying to, get the situation straight. Y'all, hold on one second. I need to go get a Q-tip because. All right, y'all, I'm back. So yeah, like I said, I went over to the school. I was like, I wanted to talk to the boy. I wasn't gonna hurt him, but I just want to be like, why you putting your hands on him? Like, keep your hands to yourself. Like, shit. If anything, I want to talk to the mom. Like, what the fuck going on that your child felt the need to be harassing my son, and he ain't doing nothing but trying to go to school and get his education. Y'all, I was very upset about this incident, obviously. So I went to work. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I was not in the best mood. I didn't take it out on anybody or anything like that. Like, I don't do that. Like, I just feel like no matter what I be going through, I never took my problems to work. Never. Like, I don't care how mad I am or what be going on in my personal life. I never took that shit to work. I can't say the same about my fellow coworkers, but me personally, I never took that shit to work. Like that wasn't me. Like that was not my MO. Like I never did that. But I was a little bit more down than usual, obviously, after this happened. So during this time, you know, um I want to say this was before. No, let me make sure I say it right. So during this time period, Lace had set it up so, and eventually, like once Nyx had got out of training, this happened with her too, because we was still considered like new there or whatever. Like she would let us like we had questions about cases, we would write them down, and we would all get together. Particularly, I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and we would like bring our cases together and work on them so as a whole. So it would be like me, Nyx, and Lace, like going to Lace's office, our supervisor, and we would all sit down and we would discuss our cases we was having problems with. And then even Lace said it helped her too, because she was still learning the policy and all of that, and that was helping her too. But during this time, it was just me and her, because Nyx was still in training. Excuse me, Nyx was still in training, so it was just me and Lace at this time. And I remember it was this one case. It was a kind of a similar case like I had before with Stacy. It was a case where it was a husband and wife, and they had 2 children, but it was something with their income, like some kind of way they was bringing the wrong income in, and what they was bringing in, it needed to be verified because it was wrong, and it was just a lot of back and forth. I know this went on for like a good 2 or 3 weeks with this case. It was to the point where Lace was just like, "Look, Jasmine, I'm gonna take the case and I'm gonna look at it, and once I try to figure out what's going on, I'm gonna give it back to you." Because I even think that like we had this, she had to submit a help desk ticket for this case. Like it was just a lot of problems going on with this case, not only like with the income, but it was a lot of like glitches in the system with this case. It was a whole thing. So this was around about this time. So I remember she had, so I come back to work, obviously, and I'm upset of what's going on with my son. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, like I'm just keeping it as I'm keeping it 100 right now as much as I can. Like I was crying. Like I didn't let nobody see me cry, but I was crying in my job. I was crying, like I was upset, because like I was just like thinking about my son. Like I was just hoping nobody like won't trying to hurt him, while I probably should have took the day off. I'm just being real, and just stayed home with him. But I was just very upset and hurt. That somebody could do my child like that, and he won't but in the 2nd grade at the time. So like my heart was hurting. So during this time, like I said, we had cubicles, and one of the members from my team was she was sitting right behind me. What we gonna name her? We're gonna name her because her and Stacy was really good friends. We're gonna name her. Let me think. We're gonna name her Dove. We're gonna name her Dove. Um, so Dove was sitting behind me, and I could hear her like I'm at my desk, like I'm working on my cases and stuff like that. And, like the whole time, like I'm just trying not to cry, and I'm just trying to keep it together, and just because I'm thinking about my child and what he going through. And so I can hear Dove on the phone, and she's like I heard her saying the names of the clients, of these clients, and I'm like, those names sound real familiar, like, but I ain't think nothing of it, so I'm still doing my work. And so it was something that Dove said that really stood out to me. She was like, "Yeah, because she was kind of saying something along the lines of like how it shouldn't have been put off this long, and I'm glad I was able to get it straight, and oh, you're welcome, and before hanging up. I don't know why, y'all, but some prompt me to call Lace. And some prompt me to call Lace. And I did. So I called Lace. And so Lace got on the phone. I was like, yeah, I said, any update on that the case with we was having problems with? Like that, right? Here's what Lace said, y'all. She was like, oh, don't even worry about it. I got Dove to work on it because I asked you several times to get it right and to do what you needed to do with it, and you did not do it. So I took the initiative to get Dove to do it. And with that, she just hung up the phone. First of all, bitch, you told me that you was gonna look at it yourself, and once you got it straight, you was gonna let me know what to do. Like, that's first of all. And then second of all, she knew, like I said, like I'm not trying to throw out my, trying to make it seem like, oh, like, woe is me, I'm on the pity pot. I'm just being real. Like, I told you what was going on with me as far as like my situation with my son. And you gonna come at me with this aggressive ass fucking attitude? Bitch, fuck you. Like, yo, that really just pissed me off. That really did piss me off. And I was just like what? Like all that aggressive energy. And this is like and I'm already like got a lot on my mind, but and then she trying to make it seem like I ain't want to do my job, and then she gonna give it to somebody else. Girl, mm-mm. I'm sorry, y'all, I needed a drink on that. But yeah, I'm like, that really did piss me off. Okay, y'all, so I'm gonna work in this palette right here, Smoke and Roses. I had bought this off of Amazon, right? I like the colors. As you can see, they were really, really pretty. But the thing is this is what pisses me off. Ain't no damn mirror in here. ColourPop, I love the colors. I done worked in this. This probably like gonna be my third time in here. But I'm like, girl, why y'all ain't got no damn mirror? But whatever, we're gonna roll with it, okay? But anyway, so yeah, I'm like, why she was giving me all this aggressive ass energy for no reason. Don't worry about it. Um, Dove is gonna work on it because you don't know. Obviously, you can't hold up your end. And then the fucked up part that made me mad was how Dove sitting up there on the phone with her, and she up there trying to make it seem like I'm lazy and not doing what the fuck I was supposed to do. This bitch, oh my god, yo, I don't know why I stayed there as long as I did. I'm just being real. And like I said in the other video, I know I was trying to prove myself and show I could do this and can climb the corporate ladder and do all the things. But girl, that job, I like I said, I'm looking back now. I don't know why I stayed as long as I did. I really don't. Like, I know I needed the money and stuff like that, but anyway, so we're gonna move on. So we're gonna fast forward. So this is some months later. I know in the other part I was talking about how, okay, we went through that time period where it was just me and Nyx working all those cases together. So this was roughly a little bit after that. So this is around about, like I said before, when we had those other new girls coming in. We had Purple, who was really good friends with Lace, and she didn't too much care for me, but whatever. And we had Sun, and I think the other one, Beatrice. It was another girl there, but she really didn't play a huge part in this because I think she started around about, so this is like late 2022. We're gonna name her Nivea, but she don't play a big part in this, so ain't no need to really bring her up. But anyway, so around by this time, I've been there for a little over a year working at this job now. So they considered me like the senior, whatever like that. But I was like, girl, like I was still learning stuff. And I even remember one time we had a meeting. Like we was having like I think like one of our little unit meetings. And I'm trying not to say exactly like what it is I did, but the program itself was like it was very stressful and it was kind of like tedious and it was a lot of information to learn. But I would say that program was kind of hard because if you really didn't know what you was doing, like it could be real stressful. Like I will put it that way. Excuse me, y'all. Let me see what color I want to use. Mm, I think we're going with this one. So yeah, the program could like because it was just a lot of information. Like it's very rare you would get a case that was like cut and dry. And like I said in the other video, like even people who've been there for years and years, like OG on some OG shit, like even they had questions, you know. But maybe it's not as many questions as somebody who is a rookie who don't know what they're doing. But yeah, like it was just like it's just one of them type programs. It's like, girl, like you you're not gonna learn it overnight, and I stick by that. I don't care what nobody say. And so we was having a Udemy one time, and everybody was just like, we was just talking about our frustrations with the program at times, and how the policy was always changing. Everybody was complaining about that, right? Right. So I was just kind of like, yeah. I said, yeah. I said this program is very intense, and I said, shoot, I said it might take you at least a year, at least maybe longer, to learn everything you need to learn within this program. And then everybody, Nick's son, Beatrice, Nivea, everybody, yeah, they was like, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Purple didn't say nothing. But here go Lace. Lace was like, no, it don't. What? Like just trying to undermine what I'm saying. No, it don't. No, it don't. It don't take no year. I'm like, just trying to make me look like I'm stupid. Like, and like I said, Purple didn't say nothing because Purple was her friend. But I'm like, girl. So, like I said, been here over a year now. So, when I started, let me just kind of back up a little bit. When I first started out, no one really went out their way to like be like, hey, Jasmine, like it's probably like probably one time, maybe twice, but no one really went out their way to be like, Jasmine, like, do you want to job shadow with me or sit with me today and just see like what I do? Like when I first started there, like I said, probably one or two did it, but after that, they didn't really want to have too much to do with me. But you know, ain't nobody really asked me to job shadow with them like that. So now here I am, a year into my job, like a little over a year, and Son and Beatrice and Nivea, they are like new. So what time is it? I want to say this is around my December, child. Yeah, this is a little before the holidays had started. So I have like one of my reviews, like one of my conferences with my supervisor, whatever, like that, right? This is a really pretty color. I have one of my conferences with my supervisor, right? Lace. And so she going over my stuff and all this other mess. And so I think I did get good, y'all. It's been a while. I don't even remember. Like I think I did pretty good on my cases, on those cases or whatever like that. But then she said this. She was like, so she gonna look at my paper and she was like, yeah, I noticed that you ain't ask, like, no, how she said, she was like, your interaction with your other teammates is not the best. I'm like, what you mean? Like, far as I know, I ain't had no problem with nobody. I know Purple ain't too much care for me like that, but me and her ain't never really had words. You know what I'm saying? And I know that was her homegirl, but I mean, I was like, what you mean? Like, what did I do? What you talking about, Willis? So she like, she like, you were supposed to, mind y'all, she never mentioned this, but I'm gonna get to that. She was like, you never asked, um, particularly, Son and Beatrice. That's who she was referring to. You never went over to them and see if they needed to be like, and ask, you never went over to them and told them they could job shadow you, or you never let it be known, and you never communicated that with them, that you wanted them to shadow you. What the fuck? Like, I was just so taken aback by that, because I was just thinking to myself, I ain't say nothing, and I probably should have spoke up for myself, like I said. But I'm just like, how in the hell, like, am I gonna speak up for myself on something? Like, first of all, if I don't know what to speak up on, that's first of all. That's first of all. Second of all, as far as I'm concerned, like, when I first started there, ain't nobody really took out the time and came over and was like I said, it's probably like one or two people, and like I said, that was in the very beginning, child, and it was only once from two people. But ain't nobody go out there and say, hey, you can job shadow with me, you can sit with me. Like, I pretty much I was just sitting there. What you talking about? And she told me you was supposed to go over to their desk, and and you're supposed to ask them, your communication style is lacking, and but I'm sure you'll get better at it. Go to hell. I'm sorry. Like, yo, that really did piss me off. Like, when she said it, like, she's trying to make it seem like I ain't. I'm like, no. Like, when the fuck did any, like, when did this happen? When did this new rule happen, where I was supposed to go over to coworkers while you got me working? Because during this time they was not even out of training, so we still doing their casework. Me and Nyx, and now Purple has now started doing. So we are doing not only our casework, we doing casework of those other people that are not out of training yet. When the hell was I supposed to come out and be like, oh, y'all want to sit with me? Like, you never told me that. You never communicated that with me, bitch. You never did. Never. And you expect me to just read your mind and now do it. It don't work that way. Yo, that shit really did piss me off. That really did, like, piss me off. And that really did kind of send me, like, on a spiral to be like, you know what? I think it's time for me to get up out of here. So, okay, like I said, this is roughly around by Christmas time. So Lace goes on vacation with her husband. They go on a cruise. And so I think they were supposed to be going for like a week or two. I don't really remember. But during this process, Lace had got sick with COVID. She got sick with COVID. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but she got sick with COVID, right? Yeah, I really like this palette. I'm not working. I'm just using this for the mirror, but like I said, I'm using this ColourPop. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, she got sick with COVID, and so so right after her vacation, she had to take some more days off, to get better. But she came back to work. So she came back to work, and when she came back, I don't know I think, excuse me. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just trying to think. So during this time, Sun and Beam have now kind of came out of training, so to speak. And this is kind of like when that whole incident had went on when I told y'all how I saw them in the hallway one day, Beam and Sun and Beatrice. I saw them in the hallway. Excuse me, y'all. I saw them in the hallway, and they was talking about like y'all really took this shit in training. Like they are mean. Like they are very condescending, patronizing. So this was kind of like during that time frame, maybe a little bit after that. So they just got out of training, and they gave them kind of like me, like they gave them casework to do, but it won't like they was officially like working cases. But what was also going on during this time was both Sun and Beam, um, they were moms like me. And so I know really Sun, because me and her was a little bit more closer than Beam was. Beam was cool too, but because Sun sat over there where I sat at. So me and her was a little bit more closer than Beam was. But she was just telling me how, like, yeah, she said my son been really sick. I'm not gonna put out her business out there what was going on with him, but she was just saying how, like, that's why she been taking so many days off because, her son been in and out the hospital. She's been trying to take care of him. And, me being a mom myself, I get it. So, yeah, I was like, yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do, I'm gonna use this color right here, Wild Side. But yeah, so she had to do what she had to do. And so Bean was also taking days off because she had a newborn. And so her child was getting sick, so she had to take off time off of work to do what she needed to do, look out for Bean. Look out for her child. Bean did. So I guess this caused obviously this caused an issue because when Lace returned to work, she was like, yeah, no, she returned to work. I'm sorry, y'all. And so I noticed Sun had left. I was like, okay, ain't think much of it. Next thing I know, this is after lunch, when around the evening time, Sun called me, and Beam was off this day too. Beam was off, but Sun had called me, and she was like, "Girl, guess what just happened?" I said, "What?" She said, "You." She said, "I quit." I said, "What?" I said, "What happened?" Like that, right? She was like, "No, because they up there trying to, like, I'm telling them, like, my child is sick. Like, he's really, really sick. I'm back and forth in the hospital with him, like, and they telling me, oh, your attendance is not good. Your attendance is not the best. Like, you're gonna have to basically like work on your attendance or your job is gonna be in jeopardy." Like they basically telling her that, like, and I'm like, even after you told, she was like, yeah, she was like, and so I just told him like I just quit. So, like I said, we was in the cubicles, and I look over, I see she packing her shit up, she getting ready to leave. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. So this day, when she quit, Beam was also out this day too. So obviously they pulled a Craig Friday moment on her ass, and they was like, "Hey yo," like they didn't say yo, but they basically fired her on her day off. Like damn, like that's crazy. So yeah, they fired Beam on her day off, and Sun had quit. So, and I guess some words were exchanged too, because I noticed like after work, I was packing up my stuff, I was getting ready to go. Lace went into the office of one of our other coworkers, and I could hear her. She was saying something kind of like, I couldn't really hear the full conversation, but I guess like when they called Beam to fire her, like she like they had like kind of like a screaming match going on between her and Lace. Like they went on. But anyway, the next day we came into work, and Lace called us into a meeting. She called me, Nyx, and Purple, because we was in Nivea, into a meeting. We was all in the meeting, and she was like, "Yeah, I just want to let you guys know like what happened. Like we had two coworkers. They're not gonna no longer be with us anymore, and I just wanted to be the first to tell y'all before, because I know how people like to spread rumors and stuff around here, and I just wanted to let y'all know what was going on. I'm just like, okay, like, so after this happened, I'm gonna say like a week later, we find out that Lace had to take like some time off work because her husband caught COVID from the cruise they was on, and so she had to come out of work and be there for him or whatever like that. I know she was out a good, I want to say like a good 2 to 3 weeks because of this. So yeah, so she's out of work, and then next thing I know, we hear that her husband had passed away. Her husband had passed away. So yeah, so she came back to work after this, and then the program administrator had called us into a meeting. So it was all of us on the team, and it was Lace, it was me, it was Nyx, Purple, and it was Nivea. And she called us into a meeting. She was like, "Yeah," she was like, "I'm not gonna be you guys' supervisor anymore, but," she said, "if you still have questions like about any cases, um, you can still contact me, because during this time they was training our new supervisor. We're gonna call her Line. Our new supervisor's name is Line. So she was still like in training, like they was training her or whatever like that. But she said until she came up out of training, she got more settled in her role. We could still go to Lace with questions until we talk the Line. So, by this time, y'all, I'm gonna be real. I was getting fed up with this job. It was getting on my nerves. But, I was still trying to hang in there, but I was still looking around. I know roughly around about June, I was putting in applications like crazy. I was really honing in on them applications, child, in Woods. So, left and right, I really won't hear anything back. But then towards the end of June, so this is June 20, y'all, let me, hold on, wait. I forgot. So yeah, let me back. So yeah, this is like we in the next year. So this is 2023. So this is June 2023. And so I put in an application. So then around about late June, I get a call back for an interview for a job. And I'm like, okay. So I go put in my little time so I can go to my job interview, and then I go to work afterwards. And then for the next 2 to 3 weeks, I ain't hear anything. So I was like, I don't know if I got it or not. But then next thing I know, I got a call, and it said, "Are you still interested in the job?" I was like, "Yeah." So they was like, "Yeah, we want to give you a job offer and things like that." And I know I was supposed to put in a 2 week notice, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. I put in a 2 day notice. Okay, like I was ready to get up out of there, and and it won't because of like, I mean, I know it's because of like bad tension and stuff like that, but it won't that bad. But it's just I needed a break. I needed a break from that place, and I wanted to kind of get some things straight before I started the job. So I was like, yeah, so I'm gonna put in my 2 day notice. And so I remember the day of my last day there. Um, I was packing up my stuff, and this was like first thing in the morning. And like by this point, Lime is like now like Lime is more comfortable in her role, and we going to her. By the way, just a little side note, I actually like Lime. I thought she was a pretty cool supervisor. I know like before she became my supervisor, I ain't too much care for her like that. But afterwards, like when she became a supervisor, she was actually like a pretty cool person. Like she was. Um, she was also getting tired of that job too quickly. I could see that, but she was pretty cool. But this was the morning of. Hold on, y'all. It was like my last day there. I'm packing up stuff. Lace comes over to my desk. I was like, "Oh, hey!" Like I say, "Hey to Lace." Y'all, she did like this. Let me tell y'all what she did. She was like, huh. So I see you're moving on to better things. I'm like, I just got me a new job. Like, I'm not thinking much of it. And then she was like, without a 2-week notice. And I just told her, I said, well, I didn't go into details. I was just like, well, there's a few things I got to take care of before like I start my new job or whatever like that. I won't go give her all the details. So yeah, I said, well, I wanted to. I said, but there's a few things like I got to take care of before I, start my job or whatever like that. And she was like, oh, well, you don't want to burn bridges. And then after that, she walked off. I'm like, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And y'all, I kid y'all not, because I'm going to tell y'all, like, probably in another story time, but I ended up, like, I had, like, of course, I left there and I had, like, 2 other jobs, but I ended up coming back to this place, but I was just in another department. Y'all, I kid y'all not, when I came back, she was so damn cold to me and so, like, rude and, like, just real, like, what's the word? Ruthless. And it's like the only thing I can think of is that she mad because I ain't put in no damn 2-week notice when I left the first time. But I'm like, girl, like, you don't know my situation. Like, it ain't like I left on bad terms or with nobody either. It's just you don't know what the hell I got going on. You don't. But anyway, ended up putting my little 2-week notice in. And so it was a situation where they wanted me up out of there, child. Like, when I left the first time, because they was like, yeah, you need to go and get your stuff and leave. Because I guess they was mad because I ain't putting in 2-week notice, but whatever. I ended up leaving there, and I got me another job, and I took 2 weeks off for myself, and I have no regrets about that. Hold on, y'all. I'm gonna put on my eyeliner. But yeah, y'all, just don't be letting nobody talk to y'all crazy at these jobs. Like, I know y'all need the money. I know I need the money. But yeah, don't be letting nobody like feel like they can like just walk all over you and talk to you crazy, and you putting up with somebody else's bullshit, and folks trying to gaslight you and make you feel like what you saying ain't right or real. I can't believe I forgot to put my powder on. I am so slow. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I think the only thing I could really think of is that she was just mad because I didn't put in no 2-week notice. Cause she was like, you don't want to burn bridges. Like, what you mean burn bridges? Who the fuck burning bridges? Like, I ain't had no beef with nobody there. Like, girl. Like, that's the only thing I can think about. Cause she was like, no 2-week notice? Didn't say congratulations, like, I'm happy for you. Like, none of that. Like I said, she was a bitch from the jump anyway. Like, straight up a fucking bitch any damn way. Like, and I just hate that I allowed her to like feel like she could talk to me like that or treat me that way. And I'm gonna talk more about this in the next story time. Even when I came back, like, that bitch had got a power and authority, and she became the like interim director at the place, because the director that had the first time, I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to put that in another story time. But basically, sis got a little power, and she was on a power trip, basically on a fucking damn power trip. That's why I say everybody don't need a little some power and authority, child. It's like giving a fucking child a loaded damn gun. Like, what the fuck? But yeah. Alright. So we got that on. I want to try something. I'm always trying to try something. But yeah, I do gotta say one thing. I didn't mention earlier. So like when her husband had passed away, Lace, our supervisor, I did feel sorry for her, obviously, because I'm not no heartless bitch. So I did feel sorry for her. And even like when I found out like she wasn't gonna be our supervisor anymore, I don't know why. Like I didn't boohoo cry over it, but I felt a little sad about it for some reason. Like I said, I really looked up to this lady at one point. Like I really hope y'all can hear me over this brushing my hair out. But yeah, like I really did like feel like sorry for her. And I felt like sad a little bit because she won't be our supervisor anymore, you know. But now in hindsight, like, yeah, I still feel sad for somebody losing somebody, but that doesn't mean like I can consider them like a good person, so to speak. But it is what it is. All right, y'all. This is my final look. I managed to look a little decent. I ain't going nowhere today. But I was like, let me try. Y'all saw that. Let me try to put a look together. And yeah, while doing this video. All right, y'all. I'm getting ready to wrap this video up. But yeah, just know who you are, and don't be letting nobody like feel like they can talk crazy to you. I'm getting ready to go because I edited this video. But I hope y'all enjoyed it. Take care. Y'all be blessed and be safe. Bye.